Okay, welcome back. Today we're going to work on level 2 for this skill, and that's pretty straightforward. We're just taking a monomial, so one term like this 2x, and we're going to multiply it to an expression like a binomial or a trinomial or any of the other ones. And then we'll divide by a monomial as well. So when we are multiplying by a monomial, it's just the distributive property basically. So you take the 2x and then you multiply it to every term that you see in the parentheses. So 2x times 3x, that's going to be 6x squared. And then 2x minus 8, multiply those together, you get minus 16x. And that's it. Okay, example 2. Same idea. You take the outside term and you distribute it or multiply it to every term. So in this case, 3 terms here. And so now negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. X squared times x squared. If you don't remember, just remember that the exponents get added. When you multiply, the 2 and the 2 get added, so you get x to the 4. Next term, we have negative 3 times negative 4. That's positive 12. X squared times x is x cubed. Remember that that's a 1 there, so that's where the cubed comes from. And then negative 3x squared plus times positive 5, that'll be minus 15 x squared. All right, and that's basically it for multiplication. One thing worth mentioning, however many terms there are in the parentheses, so right here you got 2 terms, it's a binomial. When you are distributing or multiplying by a monomial, that means you're going to get another 2-termed expression. So the number of terms in the parentheses should be the number of terms for your answer when you multiply things out. Same thing here. You started with 3 terms, you ended with 3 terms. Okay, so that's how you do this whole page here on page 74. The last part here is dividing by a monomial. Okay, so there's a couple ways that you can think about doing it. One is just a little bit, showing more steps, but you could probably do it without doing all the steps. When you're dividing, just like we did on the previous page, you multiplied every term by whatever you multiplied by. Here we're going to divide every term by whatever we're dividing by. So you can write it out as 5n cubed divided by 5n plus 50n squared divided by 5n. And then now you just simplify that. So 5 divided by 5, that's going to cancel out because that's just equal to 1. N cubed divided by n. Remember that this is a 1, end of the first down here. And when you're dividing, you subtract exponents. So that's just going to become n squared. Okay. Now, also worth mentioning, if you forgot that property, don't forget that n cubed technically just means n times n times n. If we have an n to the first power in the denominator, that's just a single n. Cancel out the common ones, and what's left is 2 n's, or in other words, n squared, when you multiply them together. Okay. For the second term, similar. Okay, so here you're going to get 50 divided by 5, which is going to be 10. And then n squared divided by n, that's just going to be n. Okay. Example 2. Again, same idea. But here's kind of like the less work version. So you can kind of do this step in your head if you want. Just make sure that you do it to all, you divide all 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, and then x cubed divided by x is x squared. And then you just bring down this sign, so minus 12 divided by 3 is 4. X squared divided by x is going to be x. Bring down this sign, that's plus. 3 divided by 3 is just 1. X divided by x is also 1. In other words, 2x squared minus 4x plus 1 is the answer. Okay, now again, if you're not liking that, it's just the same as 6x cubed over 3x minus 12x squared over 3x plus 3x over 3x. So this would be the intermediate step, which leads you right to that answer. So whatever you are comfortable with is fine. This is not too difficult. You just got to make sure that you are careful and divide everything, not just a single term. Let's do number 5. Do one more problem just to go through it. This one's a little tricky because we are dividing by a negative here. So let's see. The shorter way, negative 5 divided by negative 5, that's a positive 1. X to the 5th divided by x cubed. Remember that you're going to subtract, so that's x squared. So that's the first term. So we've done this already, right here. And now we're going to divide this way. So negative 10 divided by negative 5 is positive 2. X cubed divided by, x to the 10th divided by x cubed. Subtract your exponents. You get x to the 7. So 1x squared plus 2x to the 7. Or if you write it in the usual standard form, which we'll probably talk more about later, you rearrange the terms so that the highest exponent is at the beginning. So this would be the same as 2x to the 7 plus x squared. But either way is fine. Again, the 1 is optional. You don't need it there. We know it's a 1. Okay? All right, so that's it for this session.